The Switch. Teaser. Fade in. Exterior apartment building. Night. In a neighborhood that's a borderline slum, light years away from the closest gentrified hipster enclave charging $8 for a slice of pie. Flanked on one side by a grim laundromat lit by buzzing, pale green fluorescent tubes, and on the other side by a fly-by-night 99-cent store, the building is drenched with a thick patina of perpetual sorrow and despair. An old beater Ford Escort pulls up in front. Lucky for the driver, Cooper Langford, 42, there's a small spot right in front where he can fit. Unlucky for him, his power steering has been out for about a year now. After 2 or 3 tedious tries, he finally grooves into the spot. As he switches off the onion, there is a horrific grinding clatter, like a lawnmower blade hitting a brick. It's followed by a muffled hiss as the car sputters and dies. Concerned, Cooper pops the hood and gets out. We get our first good look at him. Balding pate, weak chin, horrible schlumped shoulders in a thrift store suit. He looks like a very drunk cartoonist trying to draw the word weary. As he lifts the hood, a geyser of steam erupts from the radiator. He fiddles with the hoses and belts, but can't seem to make heads or tails of it. Frustrated, he shakes his head and slams the hood closed once again. Thunk. Interior Cooper's apartment, night. Cooper tries to enter quietly and undress, but it's too late. A lamp switches on. Angle on the couch. His wife, Janie Langford, 40s, sighs and turns over. A round and soft woman, the glare she currently wears is the one and only sharp edge on her. A comically worn and ripped t-shirt stretches at the seams. Grandma panties flash beneath.
Sorry.
Out saving the world?
What can I say? Fate of the human race depends upon me.
He pulls a wallet with an FBI badge from his pocket and lays it down on the dinner table. A sidearm and a holster is placed next to it. He looks around. Cooper's POV, the kitchen. It's a horrific mess. Filthy pots and pans, not an inch of counter can be seen beneath the dirty dishes and glasses.
Jesus.
This is an obvious scab between the two that never heals.
You knew I wasn't much of a maid when you married me, asshole.
Cooper takes the hit, but this never ends well. He takes a deep breath and steels himself for what's to come. Can't avoid it.
So, car broke down again. Right out front. Guess I'm pretty lucky. Made it home this time.
Yeah, sure. Lucky.
You call a tow truck in the morning and get it to the garage.
Cooper turns away and heads for the refrigerator, hoping he's gotten away with it, but then...
So, how are you gonna pay for it?
Nope, no such luck. Cooper rolls his eyes. Here we go again.
Since I need to drive to work every day, I'd say we need to get it fixed.
Don't you mean I need to get it fixed? We both know I'm the one that's gonna have to pull the money out of my ass, just like I always do.
Come on, it's not fair. I'm back at the job. Bring home a check. You cash it just fine.
Coop, this hole you dug for us is so fucking deep. A ladder only gets us so far. What do you not get about that?
I don't know. I guess not much.
What kind of useless nothing lets his wife support him for this long? Don't you have any pride in yourself? Like any at all? Seriously, I'm asking.
Cooper rubs his eyes, exhausted. He knows saying anything else at this point will only prolong the agony. Janie realizes he's not taking the bait. She slides off the couch and moves past him toward the bedroom. She turns back at the door, looks him up and down, disgusted.
Jesus, what kind of a man are you?
We see this as stunned Cooper, like a punch to the face, but he grits his teeth and takes it. Janie shoots him a final withering look and slams the bedroom door behind her. Cooper finishes undressing and shambles back over to the refrigerator. He pulls out 2 cans from a sixer of Old Milwaukee and then collapses onto the couch, cracks one open. He lays down on his back, gives the ceiling a blank stare. Angled directly above Cooper. Looking exhausted and drowsy, we close in on him. He turns off the light and places a hand on his chest, feeling for his heartbeat. This is a habit we'll see him do often. Match dissolve, angle, same shot. Except time has passed. The 2 cans of beer are now emptied and resting on the arm of the couch. Cooper is asleep. There's a beat. But then, from the darkness, a single pinpoint of light appears. It twirls and dances around his head as if caught up in some sort of invisible wind. Then another appears, and still another, until they wrap around him, covering him from head to toe. On and on they dance in a swirl of growing intensity, They undulate and breathe, building up energy until there is a burst of light, as if these dancing photons have started rushing towards us. They helix inward on themselves, forming a tunnel. We are racing forward, hurtling through the cylinder at breakneck speed, until it all stops with a brilliant whiteout flash. Smash cut to, close, and eye. It blinks open. The pupil dilates as the morning sun streams through the billowing diaphanous curtains of a nearby window. We are interior bedroom day. Cooper wakes up and throws the covers off himself. He sits up on one elbow before swinging his legs off the bed. His feet come to rest on a marble floor. His toes quickly recoil from the touch of the cold stone below. Something's not right. They're used to carpet. His bleared eyes scan the room around him. The room is, to put it lightly, palatial. A futuristic bay of monitors is mounted above an enormous fireplace. Sensing motion in the room, they switch on, but are still on mute. Most are tuned to news channels or stock tickers. Eyes full of sleep, Cooper doesn't see the harried newscasters surrounded by screaming graphics. Scientists struggle to explain, and widespread global phenomenon, but we do. Instead, he looks down. Cooper's POV bedstand table. A gorgeous Patek Philippe watch. The face is a deep black onyx. Next to it, a money clip with several black credit cards and a thick fold of hundreds. More than Cooper would see in months of his work as a federal agent. He gazes at it, incredulous. From behind, he hears a stirring in the sheets. Shocked, he spins around, almost spilling from the bed. Angle, the other side of the bed. Under the sheets is a naked and luscious blonde. The curve of a perfect hip crests majestically above the covers. She lets out a quiet groan and burrows deeper into her pillow. Cooper pulls himself up off the bed, trying not to wake this stranger. He spies a pair of pants balled up nearby on the floor. Quickly slips a leg in, then the other. They fit him perfectly, meticulously tailored. An embroidered collared shirt is draped over the bedpost. Close, a monogram. On the front pocket, DMG. Cooper considers this for a moment before throwing it on. Exterior hallway continuous. Cooper opens the bedroom door and peeks from side to side. Cooper's POV, hallway. A long stretching corridor with expensive appointments. Priceless pieces of modern art line the walls. To the left, an enormous, twisting stairwell and a bright bay window. Still barefoot, Cooper slowly, cautiously pads across the floor to the window, looks out. Cooper's POV, the grounds. The well-manicured gardens and expensive grass lawns of what must be a substantial estate. Cooper considers this for a moment. There can only be one explanation. He's dreaming. He brings his hand up to his cheek and gives a long, firm tug. He winces. Nothing.
What the
There is a sudden, intense screaming from downstairs. The metallic clanging and clatter of heavy things banging to the floor. It jolts him from his stupor. He races towards it. Interior kitchen continuous. Cooper bursts into the enormous kitchen to find Angle, an Hispanic woman, dressed in a maid's uniform. She lies on the ground, surrounded by dropped pots and pans, screeching at the top of her lungs. The crazy thing is, it sounds like she's screaming in perfect Cantonese.
Ma'am. Ma'am. Who are you? What's your name? Habla inglés.
The maid looks at him, confused. She definitely no habla. She bursts out in a fountain of words he can't follow.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
As he tries to calm her down, there is another sudden, blood-curdling scream, this time from upstairs. It sounds like it's coming from the room he was just in. Interior bedroom continuous. As Cooper and the maid run into the bedroom, they find the luscious blonde standing naked on the bed. A thick Cockney accent spews from her mouth. Her body language and mannerisms have become suspiciously masculine.
Where the fuck is my cock, mate?
The blonde is pointing over and over below her waist to where her supposed cock once used to be.
What have you done with my cock?
The maid starts shouting at both of them, again in Cantonese. In the chaos, Cooper gets his first look in the mirror. What he sees looking back astonishes him. Cooper's POV, mirror. There's a much younger, handsome man looking back at him. Perfect physique, angular, strong jaw. He touches his face, the reflection does the same. The camera dollies around from behind to in front of him. Cooper's face is now someone else's. This stranger he sees in the mirror, it's him. From now on, this is his new face, and it will be the only face we see too. On his shocked expression, we end teaser. Act 1. Exterior mansion, day. Cooper in his completely new body rushes out the front door of the mansion towards the driveway. He fiddles with a set of keys in his hands. Wrapped in a bedsheet, the blonde steps out onto the front porch, the maid next to her.
Oi! What am I supposed to do now?
I saw some cash on the bedstand. That should help you get back to wherever you're from.
Yeah? What about you?
Cooper finally finds the car alarm and triggers it. At the end of a line of luxury cars, a cherry red Lamborghini Aventador chirps obediently in response.
I have a feeling that money is the least of my worries right now.
Cooper climbs into the gorgeous piece of machinery and fires up the engine with a purr. The Lamborghini lurches forward and immediately stalls. Cooper looks over to the porch to see. Cooper's POV, the blonde and maid. Concerned looks on their faces, watching him. Cooper keys the ignition again. The engine roars back to life. He throws the car into gear and throttles it forward. The sports car rolls down the driveway and then onto the street. Interior Lamborghini day. Cooper is getting the hang of driving the powerful car. As he winds through the streets, he looks out the windows to see. Cooper's POV out window montage. The streets are strangely calm. One would expect chaos. Instead, the sidewalks are virtually empty. Here and there, people have wandered out from where they woke. They shamble along like zombies. Their frightened eyes reflect the prolonged state of shock they are experiencing. Some run in the streets, but they're not sure where they need to go. There's no one to fight, so flight has taken over. Others have grouped together on street corners, comparing pieces of information, trying to figure out who they are now. On a desolate main boulevard, Cooper passes a towering billboard on the side of a building. On it, a black and white earnest headshot of the face he wears now. Think of one of your Apple's Think Different campaign. The slogan, "Your future is inside," along with a logo of a graphical supernova. End montage. Exterior, Cooper's apartment house, day. Cooper pulls up in front of his apartment house, the same one we saw at the beginning. He glances with some interest at his POS Escort still parked in front. There is another spot now open in front of it. The Lambo glides into it easily. He kills the engine and races up the front stoop and into the building. Interior apartment house hallway, day. Cooper runs down the hallway to his door. He puts his ear to it. From the other side, there's a stifled whimpering. He searches his pockets but realizes that he doesn't have the keys.
Janie!
No response from the other side. Cooper has no other choice. He kicks open the door and charges into the apartment. Interior apartment, continuous. Cooper looks around for the source of the whimpering. Cooper's POV, living room. No one is in plain sight, but the sound continues. Cooper creeps forward, following the noise. He hears it coming from under the dining table. He stoops down to see, sitting, crouched as compactly as the large body can get, is old Cooper, or what had originally been Cooper. The new inhabitant of his 42-year-old body is sobbing uncontrollably, trying not to be seen. Click. The handgun he had left on the table the night before is cocked and pointed shakily at his face.
Hey, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you.
You're famous.
The face is, but not me. What's your name?
His former self considers the question for a moment before stammering.
Bertie.
Bertie, huh? I would tell you that's a pretty name, but you know I'd be lying.
This causes Bertie to laugh a little. It's strange watching this slight feminine giggle come from this large grown man.
How old are you, Bertie? Where do you live?
8. I'm 8 years old. I live in Chicago.
Chicago.
What's your name?
My name's Cooper.
Am I in your body?
Looks that way, Bertie.
Cooper has to shake his head at the weight of this. It seems that his old body is now being occupied by an 8-year-old girl.
Bertie, was there a lady here when you woke up?
The question sends Bertie into a gale of panic. If she was sobbing before, she's inconsolable now.
When I woke up, she wouldn't move.
The blood drains from Cooper's face as Bertie points over at the closed bedroom door and then collapses into another fit of tears. He doesn't like the sound of that. Cooper races toward the bedroom door, opens it. Interior bedroom. As Cooper enters, he sees Janie's body lying on the bed, not moving. Cooper kneels down next to the bed and puts his fingers to her pulse. He gives her shoulders a shake, but no response. Behind him, Bertie's large frame fills the doorway.
Is she dead?
No. She's still alive.
Is that your wife?
I'm not sure. If she got switched like the two of us, this could be anyone. I don't know.
Was she sick?
Me, maybe. But no. No, she wasn't.
What do we do?
Cooper considers his options for a moment.
We need to get her to a hospital, but there's only room enough in my car for two. I think she'll need to squeeze in on your lap. Listen, I'm an agent of the FBI. If I'm going to get any kind of help for you, and whoever this is, I need to get into work.
Bertie gives a hesitant nod. Close on Bertie's hand. The handgun is there, dangling. Bertie sees the concerned look on Cooper's face and lets out a sheepish chuckle. She holds up the gun for him to take.
I almost shot you.
Why didn't you?
I recognize you from TV.
Well, thank you very much for not shooting me. Come with me and we'll see if we can get you back to where you're from.
How are you going to do that?
I have absolutely no idea.
Interior hospital ER day. The automatic doors of the ER slide open. The outside world is subdued and calm in comparison to the hell Cooper and Bertie find waiting for them on the other side. They roll the unconscious Janie in a wheelchair past countless horrific vignettes, seemingly sprung from a deep well of nightmares. A graying 50-year-old man has swapped bodies with a 2-day-old infant and lies on a gurney shrieking at the top of his lungs. He kicks and thrashes in his own filth as a nurse tries to hold him down. An elderly woman stands over an overwhelmed nurse at the front desk. Dark red bloody welts cover her face where she has been clawing at her newly wrinkled skin. She shouts in French at the nurse over and over. Je suis si moche et répugnante. Seigneur, aide-moi, s'il te plaît. I'm so ugly and disgusting. Please, God, help me.
Ma'am, is that French? I can't understand.
A man in surgical scrubs lumbers down the hallway toward them in a zombie-like daze. Cooper rushes up to him.
Excuse me, are you a doctor?
I'm an accountant.
He holds up his rubber-gloved hands. They're covered in a dark, coagulated gore. It drips down to his elbows. Bertie huddles in close to Cooper, scared out of her wits.
I was sleeping and then my hands were inside his chest. His heart was beating. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know.
The stunned man continues to mutter to himself as he moves past them towards the exit. Cooper turns back to see a male nurse, still dressed in the bus driver uniform of the body he switched into, but now wearing a stethoscope draped around his neck. Cooper can see by the way he races from one patient to another. He must be some sort of medical personnel. Cooper pulls out his badge and flashes it at him.
I'm a federal agent. Can you help me?
The nurse takes a cursory look at the ID. As would be expected, the photo isn't what Cooper looks like. It's his old body, the one Bertie wears now.
Doesn't look like you. Looks like him.
The nurse nods toward Bertie.
Actually, that's not a him anymore, that's a her.
The nurse gives an exasperated shake of his head.
Jesus, this is also fucked. What's wrong with her?
She won't wake up. She has a pulse, but she's unresponsive.
Behind them, a very pale man tries to politely interrupt.
Excuse me.
Hold on 1 second.
I need to get to my field office to see if I can help figure out what's happening. Can you please help her?
The nurse checks her pulse, listens to her heartbeat with his stethoscope.
She seems relatively stable. We've got folks doing a lot worse. And there's only 3 of our staff that have made it in so far. Everyone else is... who the hell knows? Just park her over there for now.
The nurse motions over towards an empty space on the side of the hallway. Cooper hesitates, not sure about leaving his wife there alone. The nurse registers his concern.
I swear I'll come back to her as soon as I can. That's the best I can do for you right now.
Please, I think there's something very wrong with this body.
I'll be right with you, buddy. Trust me, I'll take care of her.
Cooper is reluctant, but before he can respond, the pale man lets out a throaty groan. His eyes suddenly roll back into his head. His body collapses onto the ground with a loud smack. He starts to violently seize and shake.
Jesus Christ! Give him room.
The nurse shoves waiting room furniture out of the way so the pale man won't injure himself as he flails.
Got a diabetic seizure over here. Get me a unit of glucagon, stat.
As the male nurse fights to save the pale man's life, Cooper isn't sure what to do. He hesitates, considering his options, realizes he doesn't have any. Cooper slowly rolls Janie over to the wall as the male nurse instructed. He sets the brake and adjusts the blanket in her lap to better cover her legs. Bertie tugs on his arm.
Can we go, please? I'm scared.
Cooper nods and they both start heading out. He takes one last look at Janie's motionless body over his shoulder. Almost to the door, the male nurse shouts at him.
Hey FBI! What's her name?
Janie. Her name's Janie.
The male nurse acknowledges the name with a distracted nod. Looking more than a little guilty, Cooper leaves Janie behind and leads Bertie out the ER doors once again. Interior FBI field office, day. This time, Cooper and Bertie enter into another type of chaos, except this one is much more organized, purposeful. Bodies run from desk to desk. Phones ring off the hook. Miller Davies, a white-haired elderly woman, formerly a 54-year-old man on the edge of a pension, approaches him.
Cooper, dear God, are you still...
Bertie looks blankly at the woman and then points to Cooper, now wearing somebody else's face. Miller looks at Cooper and blanches. If this is his new body, it's extremely well known.
Cooper?
Yeah. Who?
It's Miller. Miller Davies.
Cooper can't believe what he's hearing.
Miller? You're like 80 years old.
78, actually. I found her driver's license in her purse. And yes, my arthritis is killing me. Thank you very much. Jesus, do you know who you are?
Well, judging from the face in the mirror, the monogram on my sleeve, and the way everyone stared at me when I was walking in, I'm guessing Desmond Martel Grace.
I mean, you're rich. Crazy rich. Like, I hate you kind of rich.
Cooper directs Bertie over to a nearby chair and sits her down.
Stay here. I'm going to try to find out what's going on, okay?
Bertie nods, and just before Cooper walks away,
Can I go home soon?
Cooper stops and takes a knee next to her. It's odd seeing his old face looking back at him, but he tries to be tender.
As soon as I can possibly get you there. I swear. But we've got to figure out what's going on first, okay?
This seems to calm Bertie down. She leans back in the chair as Cooper and Miller march out of sight down a nearby hallway. Interior hallway, continuous. Cooper and Miller arrive in front of a closed conference room, and Miller gives it a knock, opens the door. Interior conference room. Inside are 4 other agents. Franklin Chen, formerly a 28-year-old Asian man, now 58 and black. Lila Thompson, formerly a 38-year-old single mother of 3, now a 16-year-old boy. Kyle Waters, formerly a gruff and burly ex-Navy SEAL, now a 32-year-old attractive woman. Last but not least, their boss, Avery Wentworth, late 40s, is now a bald and menacing Hispanic gang member, complete with tattooed tear in the corner of his eye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cooper Langford.
Everyone in the room takes one look at Cooper and slump in their chairs. Mouths are agape. If this was the lottery, they all lost it.
You've got to be shitting me.
You'll excuse me if I need some introductions.
Cooper heads around the room, comparing the new faces to the photos on their badges. He shakes the young man's hand, sees Lila's face on his badge.
Lila.
Never thought I'd say this to you, but want to get married?
If I ever develop a predilection for underage boys, you'll be the first to know.
Next around the table is Chen. Cooper looks down at the badge and sees the young Asian man. The two shake hands warmly.
Agent Chen.
Didn't even have the decency to switch up to a white boy like you. Would have been nice to see how the other half lived.
You obviously don't remember how I was living.
Cooper moves on to Waters and sees his badge. Water reluctantly shakes his hands, and a bit miffed by the turn of events.
Here I am, scared to death. I'm gonna squat to pee for the rest of my life. And you wake up in the body of a millionaire playboy.
Billionaire, actually.
Son of a bitch.
Thompson watches the exchange and starts to chuckle.
What the hell are you laughing at?
You think you're freaking out now? Wait till you get your first period.
Waters turns suddenly white. The rest of the room can't help but chuckle at the sudden panic in his face.
That's not funny. Seriously? That's not funny.
Cooper ends up standing in front of Wentworth, reaches out to shake his hand.
Orale, vato.
Wentworth shoots Cooper a faux menacing glare.
Watch it, essay. I may look like a banger, but I'm still your boss.
Both men shake and then embrace warmly.
Good to know you're still here.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Cooper looks around the room. There are more than a few empty chairs.
Where are all the others? Kirkpatrick? Stevens?
Stevens called in from Paris. Woke up in a hostel near the Eiffel Tower in the body of a German backpacker. When the planes start flying again, he'll make his way back to LA. Until then, he'll eat some cheese or croissants, whatever the hell they do there.
Anybody else?
The agents look to one another. The news isn't good. A sense of dread falls over the room. They've seen some crazy stuff, but this is unlike anything they've ever seen before.
Missing. Must be in a place with no phones, or where phones are hard to come by.
A 10-year-old agent knocks on the door and comes in.
Agent Wentworth, call on line 3.
Wentworth nods and grabs the phone. Stabs line 3. Gestures towards Mille.
Get him up to speed with the rest. This is Wentworth. Yeah, I'm sure.
It wasn't just the body switching thing. I mean, that's a huge part of what went down, but at the same time, everybody's identity got scattered. There was a catastrophic denial of service attack across the globe.
Catastrophic? Meaning
We lost it.
lost what?
The internet and everything on it.
You're joking.
Whoever did this didn't just want everything mixed up, they wanted to make sure it stayed mixed. There's no way to confirm anyone's identity. Anybody can claim to be anyone else, and there's no way to know for sure.
Wentworth slams down the phone and swipes his FBI windbreaker off a chair. What he heard on the phone has spooked him. Bad. Storming out the door, he shouts over his shoulder.
Grab your gear, everyone. We've got a situation.
Exterior freeway, day. A line of 3 black, unmarked SUVs charge at high speed, unfettered down the interstate as fast as they can. Abandoned cars dot the road, but are easily slalomed around. Interior SUV, day. Cooper sits in the back seat next to a pensive Bertie, who scans the road as it hurtles past them. Wentworth is riding shotgun in the front. He pivots to see Cooper staring at Bertie, and strangely, at himself.
Gotta be pretty wild to see yourself from the outside like that.
Cooper nods. It sure as hell is.
Weir doesn't do it justice, brother. Anyone figured out what the hell is going on?
Not a clue. Military says it wasn't them.
Do we believe them?
Do we ever believe them?
Great. Terrorists?
Not to belittle ISIS, but they couldn't get a 4th of July sparkler through a TSA checkpoint. I'm gonna put that in the highly unlikely box.
A foreign tech? Some other country?
Short of it being a brain beam from Planet 20, it looks like the most likely. But folks, I know in intelligence says there's never seen anything close to this. Whoever did it would have had to keep it way on the down low.
Getting a bit more concerned, Bertie turns to Cooper, the closest thing she has to an authority figure right now.
Where are we going?
Cooper considers the question. Best not to worry her.
We'll be there soon. Just stay close to me, okay?
Exterior prison, day. The SUVs are waved through a checkpoint and charged towards 6 slate gray buildings ringed with fences and barbed wire. Under a nearby guard watchtower, a sign, U.S. Federal Penitentiary, Victorville. Interior prison lobby, day. The agents are greeted at the foyer by the warden, Leary, who is already waving them towards a brightly lit hallway blocked by a thick steel door.
You'll forgive me if I'm a bit rushed. Woke up sort of short-staffed this morning, if you know what I mean.
I think we're all feeling a little overwhelmed.
Cooper thinks better of where they're heading and motions Bertie over to a nearby couch.
This might get a little rough. You'll be safe here.
Bertie isn't sure, but does what she's told. Watches them leave. The large metal door clangs shut behind them. Interior prison hallway continuous. Leary hands a file over his shoulder to Wentworth.
How bad is it in there?
I've been warden here for about a decade and wish I had $1 for every time an inmate told me they didn't do what they were in here for.
Leary fingers a code into a keypad of another large steel door. It slides open with a rumble.
The difference is, today, I believe them.
Interior disciplinary unit. A large atrium surrounded by cells. In the center is a common area with metal benches and tables bolted into the ground. As the agents enter, the inmates all come alive, pounding on their cell doors and shouting.
I believe all of them.
The people in the cells are crying out to the new arrivals, desperate and in a panic.
What am I doing in here?
I've done nothing wrong.
Where's my family?
Please, I'm begging you, let me out.
Cooper walks to the center of the unit. There's bedlam from every direction, shouts and yells from the inmates getting frenzied. The sound from their slamming fists and stomping feet becomes louder and louder, thunderous. Hundreds of innocent people shout in unison that they don't belong there, finding themselves inexplicably behind bars. As Cooper takes in the scene and the cacophony rises to a dizzying crescendo, we end Act 1. Act 2. Interior prison interview room, anteroom, day. The agents watch through a two-way mirror as a menacing bald man is led into the room in thick leather shackles. From the protective dress of the guards and their defensive posture, batons held at the ready, they've come to expect the unexpected from him. Coupled with the fact that they are unsure and awkward in their new bodies, this could get ugly.
Need a refresher?
Wentworth hands the file he was given over to Cooper. Cooper glances inside, but already knows the story backwards and forwards.
The Reverend Nathaniel Trillium murdered 5 women, lesbians specifically, admitted to about 20 more, but none that we could confirm. Diagnosed post-arrest with grandiose delusional disorder, claimed the good Lord himself told him he needed to rid the world of all the unclean in order to single-handedly trigger the tribulation. So, naturally, he took that to mean the homosexual community.
Naturally.
So, he'd part-time bartend at the LGBTQ clubs, and on the 2 nights a month when the moon was most full, he'd slip a dose into some wallflower's last call. When they'd get drowsy, he'd offer them a ride home. The bodies would be found scalped and crucified.
Cooper's POV file. Inside are gruesome black and white crime scene photos of Trillium's victims. All of the bodies lie splayed with their arms outstretched, hands nailed into the floor, reminiscent of an animal being dissected. Atop their heads, where their hair used to be, a dark and bloody halo.
Scalp! A souvenir.
Cooper shakes his head.
Tonsure.
Tonsure.
The ritualistic head shaving of the devoutly religious, like monks.
In some cultures, hair is considered erotic. Wives in Orthodox Jewish marriages cover their hair with wigs or scarves because it can be perceived as erotic or sexual in nature. Some Orthodox Jewish men are prohibited from praying with inside of their wives' hair.
No shit.
He was removing the symbol of their sin, cutting it right off their bodies. But all that sanctimony and piety was all just a ruse. Twisted justification for what boiled down to a pathological case of trichophilia.
He gets off on here.
Cooper closes the file, moves closer to the two-way window, takes a deeper look.
You captured him before. Think you know the difference?
Cooper considers this for a moment, gets an idea.
Grab me a pencil and some paper out of that desk.
Thompson rifles through the drawers of the desk she's leaning on and hands them to Cooper as he heads out of the room. Interior interview room, continuous. As Cooper enters, the bald man's expression goes from shock to confusion, dazed to see such a well-known face in front of him. Cooper sits in the seat across the table from him, looks deep into eyes, trying to read him.
Am I in hell?
No. But I certainly understand the confusion.
Then, where am I? Who am I?
Cooper puts the piece of paper and pencil on the table.
I need you to sign your name for me. And while you're at it, write down where you're from, too.
The bald man motions apologetically to the bindings on his wrists. Cooper motions for a guard to undo them. The guard shoots him a pensive, "Are you sure?" glance.
It's all right.
As the guard loosens the binding, the bald man is appreciative, rubs at his wrists for a moment, picks up the pencil and writes, nudges the paper over to Cooper.
Liam Atherton. Oxford. Like the university?
Yes. Professor of English and Comparative Literature, the Senior Research Fellow.
Doctor?
PhD, yes.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Atherton. My name is Cooper Langford.
Cooper cautiously reaches out to shake Atherton's hand. Atherton takes the kind gesture the way a drowning person might grab for a life preserver.
What's happening? Why don't I look myself anymore? Why am I in this prison? Did I do something wrong?
No, but the person that used to be in this body is a very, very dangerous man.
A murderer?
Yes, many times over.
A serial killer?
Sure. Yeah, I think you can call him that.
And you need to make sure that I'm not this person. That I'm not faking it in some way.
It's a very smart assumption, Doc. Although I'm pretty confident you're not him.
Oh, that's a relief. May I ask why you think that?
This person that you currently look like, he was left-handed. You signed your name with your right, so unless he became ambidextrous overnight...
Atherton appears incredibly relieved.
Very good. So then I can go home now.
Atherton's question is met with a protracted silence. Cooper shifts in his seat, uneasy. The news isn't good.
I'm sorry, Doc.
But why?
When everything switches back to the way it was.
Atherton's expression falls as the realization dawns on him.
You need me to be right here, behind bars, so this monster will return back to where he belongs.
Cooper nods in affirmative. Atherton is a very smart man.
But what if things never change back? What if I have to stay like this forever?
For everybody's sake, let's hope that's not the case.
Mr. Langford, I hope you'll forgive my impertinence, but I don't give a bloody shit about anyone else's sake. I'm in prison, you daft twat!
Atherton's sudden outburst lifts him up off his chair, standing over Cooper. The guards suddenly lunge forward, but Cooper quickly waves them off, gets them to stand down.
Look, Dr. Atherton, you have my word. We'll do all we can to make your stay as comfortable as we possibly can here. You won't be in here a minute longer than you absolutely have to. I promise.
Atherton sees he's not helping his situation, takes a deep breath to calm down, and sits back in his seat.
Thank you.
Cooper heads to the door. He turns as Atherton chuckles to himself, amused by something.
Something funny?
As Gregor Samsa woke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect.
Kafka.
Somewhat apropos, don't you think? Although, while some of us have become gigantic insects, others, like yourself, have blossomed into beautiful, very lucky butterflies. I do hope these lucky butterflies don't flutter away and forget about us insects down here, rolling around on our backs in the filth, yes?
Cooper is silent for a guilty beat, not about to make a promise he can't keep.
You take care of yourself, Doctor.
Cooper turns toward the two-way mirror and gestures for someone to unlock the door. It buzzes. Interior prison interview room, anteroom. Cooper is greeted on the other side by the helpless, dire expressions of the rest of the team, the weight of the big picture hitting them all at once. Cooper steps over to the window to watch Atherton. The guards put the shackles back on his wrists. He looks at Cooper as if seeing him through the glass, quietly accusing, a condemned man.
Well, that sucked.
At least we know for sure it wasn't Trillium.
If that's not Trillium, then where is he?
Wentworth looks to Cooper, hoping for an answer. Cooper can only shrug, shakes his head.
Awesome.
So what are you saying? They're all gone? All of them? Every loony, toony, or crazy we've ever put away? They're running back out in the world? Running around free again?
So it appears. Jesus, they could be anyone. Different face, different DNA, different fingerprints, everything.
What do we do?
The only thing we can do is start over. Get them back in here where they belong.
How? It's like Thompson said. We got nothing.
This draws Cooper's attention back to the room, back to the team.
No. Not nothing. There's one thing we do have. Something we never had before, even when we first caught them.
Oh yeah? Such as?
Cooper gestures to the file folder he's holding.
Motive. The reasons why they did what they did.
Coop, I'm all for having a little hope here. But how's that going to make any difference?
It's like astronomers. When all the math tells them something's up in a piece of sky, but they can't see with their telescope. They know something's got to be up there. They watch how other planets and stars revolve around it, around what looks like empty space, but there's only one explanation.
Their gravitational pull.
Correct. We know their patterns, their orbits, their reactions. We know the reactions to their actions. It's not much, but it's something. It's a place to start.
The agents all look to each other, crestfallen, overwhelmed.
We've all had a really hard day.
Understatement.
Everybody go on home. Or wherever you can. I understand that some of you are missing family, and that's really tough. Try and get things as back to normal as you can. What we all woke up to this morning. It's something much bigger than any of us here can fix. But tomorrow, we can do what we took an oath to do.
Wentworth searches the faces of each of his team members.
People are counting on us. Am I understood?
As each of the agents give their solemn nod of agreement, dissolve to interior Lamborghini, night. Cooper is driving. Bertie sits quietly in the front seat next to him until exterior Cooper's apartment building later. The sports car angles into a parking spot like butter. He kills the engine. Interior Lamborghini. As Cooper pulls the key from the ignition, he looks over to Bertie and sees her visibly tense up. She turns her head away from the apartment, anxious.
You all right?
I don't want to be here.
Cooper instantly gets it. This place is traumatic for her. She woke up inside someone else's body, found Janie virtually lifeless in the bedroom. It's moments like these that remind Cooper she's only 8 years old.
Yeah, sure. Okay, you got it.
Cooper thinks about it for a second, searching for an alternative.
I got an idea.
Cooper fires up the Lamborghini's ignition again. Exterior Grace's mansion, night. The Lamborghini throbs up the driveway and comes to a stop close to the front door. The gull-wing doors swivel up and both Cooper and Bertie climb out. They walk up the front walkway, both exhausted from the crazy day. Cooper suddenly grabs hold of Bertie's arm, stopping her in her tracks as he hears, front door, resting completely open. From inside, there is a tinny electronic sound, pew, 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 mixed in with a kitschy 8-bit music, the soundtrack to a video game from days long gone by. Cooper pulls out his handgun, just to be safe. Motions for Bertie to follow closely behind him. Interior, Grace's mansion, foyer. Cooper creeps quietly into the house, motions for Bertie to take cover behind a nearby wall for her safety. Signals to stay quiet. He moves deeper inside on tiptoes, gun held up in front of him, tracking the source of the music. Interior, Grace's mansion, living room, continuous. Cooper gets a view of a short-haired woman, 30s, standing at an old Galaga arcade game, a semi-ironic anachronism amidst the spare and futuristic decor. She's furiously pounding at the buttons mid-game.
Don't move! FBI!
The short-haired woman doesn't even flinch. She keeps playing her video game.
That I in FBI stands for investigation, right?
Last time I checked.
Then you might want to put that gun down and investigate the alarm panel on the wall next to you.
Cooper is hesitant to take his eyes off the woman, but sneaks a look at the wall. Cooper's POV, alarm panel. All the keys are dark. A simple word is on the readout. Disarmed.
I'm no Elliot Ness, but that probably means I have the code. Let myself in, right?
Cooper visibly relaxes, lowers his gun.
So it looks like I belong here more than you do. I suggest you start explaining, or you're going to have a really big problem here.
Who could this mystery woman be? Off Cooper's puzzled expression, we end Act 2. Act 3. Interior, Grace's mansion, night. Cooper watches the short-haired woman as she's still completely immersed in the game. Suddenly it dawns on him who he must be speaking to.
Are you Desmond Grace?
The short-haired woman bursts into a hearty laugh, genuinely amused.
Now that would be interesting, no?
An alien on the game screen does a kamikaze run on her spaceship, but she slips out the way just in time.
Desmond Grace is my boss. He's the visionary leader. I'm just the right-hand man, making sure all the trains run on time. Except we don't make trains, we make watches. See?
She holds up her arm and flashes her very snazzy digital watch, currently showing her pulse, 68, and the current temperature outside, 74 degrees.
Karen Foley. I'd shake your hand, but I'm about to break my high score here, so... And you are?
Cooper Langford.
Foley is so concentrated on the game she barely hears.
Grace loves these games. What he calls the illusion of free will. Players tap these buttons all they like and feel like they're taking their destiny into their own hands. But the control they feel isn't real. The game is always in control, always. One tiny change in the program, one slight alteration of the code, and there's no way you can win. Not one.
Cooper nods Bertie out into the open. She moves to where Foley can see her in the reflection of the screen.
This is Bertie. She's 8 years old. She woke up in my body, so she's sort of freaked out about sleeping in my place. Can't say I blame her.
Hi.
So, we were hoping.
To stay here? Of course. Feel free. If I know Mr. Grace, he'd insist on it. And since you're inhabiting his body anyway, I'm sure he wouldn't want it sleeping out in the street. Or on a park bench or something.
It?
You. Of course. Apologies.
Bertie becomes visibly relieved. Cooper is a bit more hesitant, guarded.
You're sure?
Angled video game. A last alien swings back and forth on its way to the bottom of the screen. Foley jukes to the left, but not in time. Blam! Destruction in a cloud of cartoonish white pixels.
Son of a bitch!
Her attention no longer on the screen, she turns to face Cooper and Bertie for the first time. All smiles.
Of course.
Foley sees Bertie eyeing the video game.
Want to give it a try? Doesn't need any quarters.
Bertie shoots Cooper a hopeful look, asking permission.
Go ahead.
Excited, Bertie runs, skips over to the arcade game, and hits the Player 1 button. Cooper can't help but crack a smile at the first hint of joy he's seen on his old face. Foley reaches out to shake Cooper's hand and heads towards the front door.
If there's anything I can do, or anything Novatech can do, to make your stay more comfortable, please don't hesitate to ask.
She's almost out the door when she remembers something important.
Oh, and by the way, The alarm code, it's Juliet.
Juliet?
Grace has always had a flair for the Shakespearean. Take care of yourself, okay?
The last bit is almost more of an order than a pleasantry, the way she says it. Cooper watches Foley go, still not sure what to think of her. Dissolve 2, interior Grace's mansion, Bertie's bedroom, night. Bertie is already asleep in the bed. Cooper tenderly pulls the covers up over the broad shoulders of his old body. She suddenly snores, loudly, like a shotgun blast. Takes Cooper by surprise. He struggles not to laugh. Interior Grace's mansion, bar, night. Cooper is taking a tour of the mansion. It starts at the bar as he rifles through the bottles of fine liqueurs and spirits. From a shelf, he picks up a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon. A pricing label on the neck says $3,200. Cooper whistles to himself and gently places it back on its shelf.
Jesus. Just gonna piss it out anyway.
He reaches down beneath the bar to a refrigerator, finds a bottle of beer, the cheapest he can, pops the cap, takes a long swig. It's been a long day. He deserves it. Interior Grace's mansion, office, night. The huge pocket doors sense Cooper's motion and retract, opening up before him. Lights fade on as he steps towards the imposing desk at the other end of the room. Behind it is a gigantic, picturesque window overlooking his property. Even at night, the view is spectacular. Around Cooper are various artifacts of Novatech history, displayed museum-like. A glass case with the first Novatech motherboard, along with a rudimentary keyboard. To the untrained eye, it doesn't look like much, but in 1978, it changed the world. Another glass case, this time with a prototype of the Novatech watch Foley had been wearing earlier, but this one appears much more blocky, unrefined, a stepping stone. A last large case with a futuristic, yet very realistic-looking Mars orbiter, the future of the company. Cooper's POV, wall. On a wall near the desk, there are a collection of sleek glass frames. Inside are photos that represent paramount days in Grace's life. Clasping hands with his hero, Stephen Hawking. Sitting in the driver's seat of the first sleek Novatech car as it rolls off the assembly line, a beaming thumbs up. Standing in Novatech Mission Control, celebrating a successful rocket launch with his team, champagne popped. A Time magazine cover, but not just any cover, Man of the Year. In the photo, Grace stands on the tarmac of a runway, Novatech's corporate plane behind him. The headline, Future Man, Evolution's Next Step, angled desk. Cooper takes a seat in the chair behind the desk, soaking in for a moment what it must feel like to wield such power. As if by command, a computer terminal reveals itself. A small door opens, and the monitor slowly rises up from the desk. A keyboard flips over from its hidden compartment with a subtle mechanical whir. Cooper watches, fascinated. The monitor winks on the screen, blinking, password. Cooper considers it for a long moment, takes a long swig from his beer. Ah, hell, why not? Cooper starts tapping various password combinations into the login to see if anything works. Password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Desmond, etc. But each one is met with a blinking access denied. Cooper thinks about it for a second, gets an idea. Aha, gotta be. Types in Juliet and hits enter. It seems to take a lifetime, but then access denied again. Out of ideas, he shrugs. Cooper stands up and yawns. He watches as the computer disappears back into the desk. It's pretty cool. Interior Grace's mansion, bedroom, night. Where he woke up this morning. He sits at the foot of the bed, finishing his beer, once again looking at his reflection in the mirror. He touches his new face, getting used to it in a strange way. He takes his last swig of the beer and places it on the bedside table, turns off the light, and lays back onto the bed. Angle, directly above Cooper. Like in the teaser, he stares up at the ceiling. He closes his eyes and touches his chest again, but the one currently beating in his chest is so much stronger than the one he had. He can feel it. With that thought, exhaustion takes him and he falls asleep. Dissolve 2, interior Big Bad Martha's, night. A gay bar decorated like a neon tiki idol and a carburetor from a Harley Davidson had a baby. Whoever Big Bad Martha was, she definitely wasn't much of an interior decorator. 2 women are at the bar, already many drinks into the night. Linda, 20s, has a simple and awkward rural quality and reflected by her modest dress. Nat has strong aquiline features with hair cropped in a severe and jagged pixie cut. A legend appears. Big Bad Martha's Bar, Laredo, Texas. Nat is leaning deep into Linda's personal space, flirting. Linda doesn't seem to mind.
So, why are you here?
Here, in this bar?
Sure, start with that.
Oh, I don't know. Last night, I went to sleep somewhere else, just like everybody, I suppose.
Where?
Spokane, Washington. Went to sleep there, woke up here looking like this.
You don't look so bad.
Aren't you sweet? I guess I just didn't want to try and make sense of all this craziness alone. What about you? Where did you come from?
Nat thinks about it, has to laugh.
Let me tell you, this place is a big improvement.
This place?
Linda looks around at the surroundings again. On second glance, it looks even worse than it did before, like Sanford and Son tried to open up a casino in Vegas.
I find that incredibly hard to believe.
The two chuckle together, then Nat gets an idea.
Hey, how about a little wager?
Linda rolls her eyes, groans.
These never work out well for me.
Come on, take a chance.
Linda downs her shot, considers Nat. The attraction between the two of them is palpable. What the hell.
Fine. What's the bet?
The bartender, a large and bearded man, steps over to the women, looms over them.
Last call, girls.
Perfect timing. We'll have a shot of whiskey and a shot of water, please.
The bartender shoots Nat a dirty look, unamused. She responds with a mischievous grin. It's a bit of a standoff until he reaches under the bar to produce 2 shot glasses. He pours the water first, then turns around to pull the whiskey from the shelf behind him. His back to us, where we can't see him, we hear the whiskey pouring. Finishing, he turns and smacks it down on the bar in front of Nat.
You got 15 minutes.
The bartender moves back to the other end of the bar, closing the place down. But his glowering stare still lingers, watching over Nat and Linda's interaction.
Okay, now what?
I'm betting you can't make these 2 shots switch glasses. The whiskey into the water glass and the water into the whiskey glass.
And you're saying you can?
I'm betting I can, yep.
Linda looks at the 2 shot glasses, thinks for a moment. She sighs and abandons herself to the situation. As she starts to reach for one,
Wait, what do I get if I win?
Nat's lips curl into a lascivious smile. Always loves this question.
If you win, I'll go home with you tonight.
Linda shoots Nat and, oh really, side-eye, chuckles.
Is that right? Then what on earth would you get if I lose?
Easy, if you lose, you come home with me.
The chemistry is thick. Roman candles have fewer sparks than this connection. Linda could give 2 shits about the bet at this point. Just wants to get on with it.
Fine, I give up. Show me.
Nat reaches across her, grabs a thin cardboard coaster, and puts it on top of the shot of water.
First you cover this one. Make sure you have a nice tight seal. Then you flip it.
She turns the water over. Because of the vacuum, the coaster sticks. Nat then gently places it upside down on top of the whiskey shot.
Now, the water's heavier than the whiskey, so when you slowly pull out what's between them...
Close the shot glasses. As we watch, Nat gently slides the coaster out from between the 2 shot glasses. Whiskey begins to curl up from the gap, seeping into the water shot, and vice versa, switching. It's pure physics, a sure bet. Linda never had a chance.
Ta-da!
Well, looky there. I lose.
Smash cut to exterior old sedan, night. The 2 women never made it further than the parking lot. Inside the car, arms and legs scramble for purchase, but it's hard to see through the thick layer of steam on the windows. Interior old sedan, continuous. Things are getting intense. Linda's dress is up to her chest as Nat rides above her, hands moving over every part of her, exploring. Nat's pants are unbuttoned and resting mid-thigh. Linda tries to catch her breath between volleys. Her head darts up as she thinks she hears something.
What? What's wrong?
Did you hear something?
Nat looks around, doesn't see anyone.
Nope, coast is clear.
Linda pushes Nat off slightly, trying to regroup, take a breath.
Let's just ease it down a bit. I don't even know your name.
Does it matter?
Linda laughs a little. Who's she kidding?
Not really.
Nat advances again, hungrily, kissing her again and again, but then, mid-kiss,
Nat.
What?
My name, it's Nat.
Nat. That's cute. What's that short for? Natalie?
No, Nathaniel.
A quizzical look crosses Linda's face as if she hasn't quite understood what she's heard. Nat combs her fingers through Linda's long strands of hair, petting it, enthralled.
You have the most gorgeous hair I think I've ever seen.
The realization hits Linda all at once. This isn't a woman she's making out with at all. It's actually a man. And we realize it's not just any man either. It's Nathaniel Trillium. Before a scream can even leave her throat, Trillium lunges, strangling her. Exterior, old sedan, continuous. The car is now rocking for quite another reason. Linda's final silent death struggle. Her arms flail, hands reaching out for help, but none will be coming tonight. Fade to black. End Act 3. Act 4. Interior, Grace's mansion, gym, day. Lined up wall to wall with state-of-the-art equipment, the absolute latest in exercise science. A monitor on the wall is tuned to the latest news. President Hammond, currently in the body of a 40-year-old African-American woman, is given a solemn speech to the nation. President confirms identity is the headline. Over this, we hear a treadmill revving at very high speed.
Using a password protocol utilized by the Secret Service, should I ever be kidnapped, I was able to confirm that I am, indeed, who I say I am.
The camera finds the source of the churning exercise machine. Cooper is sprinting as fast as he can, pushing to go faster. Angle, speedometer. The digital readout is clocking in at 7 miles per hour. He hits the speed button, again and again. 8 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. Higher and higher, pushing the envelope. His new athletic body goes right along with it. The new strength and energy makes him feel better than he's felt in a very long time.
I assure you, the best scientists from around the world are working around the clock to bring everything back to normal.
Cooper hits the stop button and the treadmill slows, winding down. As he steps off, his breath is quick, but not labored. For a change, he's not gasping just to breathe. Cooper's POV, gym mirror. His reflection, glistening with a sheen of sweat, rotates shirtless to one profile, then to the other. Taut stomach, broad, strong shoulders, toned biceps. He can't help but feel some guilt about how much he likes what he sees. Interior, Grace's mansion, office, day. Out of a shower, Cooper dries his hair with a towel as he hears his cell phone ring on the desk. He answers.
Cooper.
Interior, Wentworth's office, day.
It's Wentworth. We've got a body. Looks like it might be one of Trillium's.
Where?
Laredo, Texas. San Antonio field office has jurisdiction. They're working hand in hand with the local PD. Already have boots on the ground.
This rubs Cooper the wrong way.
Bullshit. No one knows Trillium's MO like me. Nobody.
Wentworth was already expecting this.
Coop, there's nothing we can do. All commercial flights are grounded for at least a week, probably longer.
Trillium works in clusters of 2. At most, we have until closing time tonight.
I get it. But even if we piled in a car, grabbed some beef jerky, and road tripped it, we still wouldn't get on scene for about 2 days.
Cooper's about to respond, but something on the wall gets his attention.
Actually, there might be another way.
Cooper's POV, Time magazine. Push in on the Man of the Year cover on its frame. The one with Grace standing in front of the Novatech corporate jet. Pre-lap, the whining sound of the jet engines revving. Dissolve 2, exterior runway, day. The Novatech corporate jet sits parked on the tarmac, warming up. The rest of Cooper's team are all business, loading their gear, but we see flashes of each of them being impressed by the sleek private jet. Foley stands near the wing, waiting for Cooper to arrive. Cooper walks up to her, Bertie in tow.
Everything you requested has been made available, and the pilot has your route. You should arrive in Laredo sometime around 7 p.m.
The entire team. We're all very grateful to Novatech for this.
Nonsense. I'm sure if Mr. Grace were here, he'd be proud to know that he helped in some small way.
Cooper turns to Bertie. She's hesitant about letting him go.
Miss Foley will take care of you. I'll be back before you know it.
Bertie takes him in a crushing hug, almost squeezes the breath right out of him, lifts Cooper off the ground. Bertie finally lets him down and Cooper heads for the plane. As he boards, Cooper turns back to give her a wave. Not sure how to handle Bertie, Foley puts an arm around her shoulder, trying to comfort her.
Hey, let's say you and me grab a hot fudge sundae. How's that sound?
Bertie gives a distracted nod and the two head off towards the nearby SUV. As she climbs in, Bertie takes one last worried look over her shoulder. Dissolve 2, exterior Novatech jet, sunset, as it rockets through the clouds, the orange skies setting behind him. Interior Novatech jet, continuous. The FBI team sit in the comfortable, overstuffed loungers, each of them engrossed in their piece of the puzzle. Due to the absence of the internet, they must pore over hard files, page by page, looking for clues. Wentworth is mid-brief.
The bartender said he felt something wasn't right, but couldn't put his finger on it.
Any security footage?
No. But we've got a sketch artist with him right now. We'll have a hard copy waiting for us when we're wheels down.
Do we have a line on any other LGBTQ clubs in Laredo?
Nothing so far.
This doesn't compute for Cooper. He knows the way Trillium works. There's got to be something they're missing.
Trillium's cycle was always 2 nights in a row. If he couldn't do both, it wouldn't even start.
I get it, Coop. Well, who would have thought there would be one gay club in Laredo, Texas? Let alone 2.
There's gotta be something we're missing. The best chance we have is to find his next location and catch him in the act.
Agreed. But that's if our bait makes him want to bite.
Waters steps out from the bathroom where he's been getting ready with Thompson. His makeup is done perfectly, his hair teased and blown out. Remember, he's a woman now, and he looks absolutely stunning. He's the bait and not happy about it. The rest of the crew gape in amazement at him.
What are you assholes looking at?
Cut to exterior Laredo International Airport, dusk. The last hazy sun has dropped low in the sky as the agents hustle from the jet to their waiting SUVs. Local agents give perfunctory handshakes to greet them and throw their bags into the cars. The local SAC, Morales, 60s, now with an enormous non-regulation waist-length ZZ-top beard, walks up to Cooper and Wentworth. They shout to be heard over the jet engines as they load into one of the cars.
They said you were gonna go back like him, but dang, can I get an autograph?
If I give one to you, I gotta give one to everybody.
Welcome to Laredo. I'm SAC Morales.
They shake hands. Morales pulls out a sheet of paper from his jacket pocket, hands it to Cooper.
I think this might be who you're looking for.
Close artist rendering. It's the sketch from the bartender. There's no mistaking that the person in the image is the same as the one in the bar, Trillium.
Let's hope it is.
Hey, Wentworth.
Angle, Thompson. She comes running up to Wentworth, excited, with news.
Local PD thinks they might have a line on our second location. Just busted a dealer with a trunk full of Molly heading to an underground club near Texas A&M. Some sort of old church?
Sanctuary?
Yeah, that's it. It says there's an end-of-the-world rave there tonight, sponsored by one of the LGBTQ clubs at the college.
Wentworth shoots a look over at Cooper, who nods. There's a good chance that's it.
All right, everybody, let's head out.
The agents all pull into their respective SUVs and peel off. Cut to Interior Sanctuary Club, dance floor, night. A large church converted into an underground club. Packed wall to wall, the dance music pounds as half-naked men and women writhe in a primal, throbbing rhythm. Kaleidoscopic spotlights dance and skim over the gathered throng. Angle, Cooper. We find him in the crowd, struggling his way through the crush of humanity. Wentworth talks to him in his ear.
You out there, Coop?
Exterior Command Center, same. Wentworth stands with SAC Morales and the local SWAT team, tense and ready. Talks into a mic to Cooper.
Got my eyes open.
Everybody else?
Interior Sanctuary Club, corner, same. Thompson is doing her best to be inconspicuous. She pretends to dance by herself in a corner, glow sticks twirling in her hands. Whispers into her hidden microphone.
I've got eyes on Waters.
Thompson's POV, Waters, sits at the bar doing his best to play the part. Fusses with his hair, flirts with a cocktail straw. Everything a man thinks a woman does to get attention, but he doesn't have a clue.
I take it back, I can't look.
Bite me.
Exterior Command Center, same. Wentworth is all business, not putting up with it.
Stow it, you two.
Interior Sanctuary Club dance floor, same. Cooper takes another look at the sketch he's been given. There are some close matches, but nothing solid.
Listen up, everyone. No lethal force under any circumstances. We need to take Trillium alive. That body he's in belongs to someone else. If he dies, then the body he's in dies too.
Cooper looks around at the sea of faces grinding against each other. Young men and women of all shapes and sizes revel in the eroticism of their switched bodies, experimenting with the physicality of their strange new skins. As he moves past them, they all recognize him, desiring him. It's a completely alien feeling. Even though he's straight, the newfound attention is still distracting. His mind is off the game. Interior Sanctuary Club, bar, same. As Waters finishes his shot, he's about to order another when...
Hey, gorgeous. Can I get you another? What is that, tequila?
Waters instantly recognizes Trillium from the sketch, shakes his head.
I'm a whiskey girl.
Whiskey? Funny you should mention it. How about a little wager?
Interior Sanctuary Club, dance floor, same. Cooper's attention has become almost dreamlike, still caught up in the spectacle around him. Suddenly, over his earpiece...
Guys, I just lost visual on Waters.
The world instantly snaps back into focus for him. Suddenly frantic, he struggles through the crowd to where Waters had been sitting at the bar. Cooper's POV, Waters' chair. Thompson is right. The chair is now empty. Cooper barks into his mic.
Waters, if you can still hear me, we don't have visual on you.
Interior dance floor, same. Waters is being led across the club by Trillium. As he hears this in his earpiece, he grits his teeth, but does his best not to give his frustration away. Well, ain't that my freaking luck?
I repeat, you've got to find a way to give us your location.
Waters' eyes scan the area, looking for some sort of landmark he can use, but won't give everything away. Interior Sanctuary Club bar, same. Thompson, desperately searching for Waters, finds Cooper.
What the hell happened? Some asshole raver started dry humping me and turned me around where I couldn't see. God damn it.
Cooper scans the crowd in a panic, feeling more than a little ashamed about being distracted, too. Interior Old Rectory stairwell, same. Inside a building connected to the church, someone has used a trash can to pop open the emergency door to the stairwell going up to the roof. Trillium holds Waters' hand and tries to pull him in for a passionate kiss, but Waters politely demurs.
Oh, come on, I don't bite.
Waters does his best to coyly keep Trillium at arm's length, then suddenly gets an idea.
I said I was a whiskey girl. That doesn't make me a filthy stairwell girl, too.
Exterior command center, same. Wentworth's ears perk up as he hears this over the comm. He turns quickly to a schematic of the club he has on the table in front of him. His finger flashes back and forth, searching until he finds it.
Stairwell. West side of the building. Now, now!
Interior Sanctuary Club, same. Cooper takes off, charging through the waves of dancers with Thompson in tow. It's like they're swimming against the tide. Interior Old Rectory stairwell, same. Trillium smiles hungrily.
A girl that likes a little romance, huh? Well, wait until you see the view from up here.
He turns and gallantly holds the door to the roof open for Waters. Waters takes one last hopeful glance over his shoulder, looking for his backup, as Trillium nudges the heavy door closed with his foot. It slams shut, locking itself. Interior, Sanctuary Club, dance floor, same. Cooper and Thompson push and shove against the last few feet of the crowd until they reach the entrance to the stairwell. Interior Rectory, stairwell, continuous, but it's too late. Trilliums and Waters are gone. The heavy emergency door is locked. They can't budge it. Cooper shouts into his mic.
We need a door breached in the west stairwell of the Old Rectory, now!
Exterior command center, same. Wentworth waves the SWAT team into action. They charge off.
On their way to your position. Hold tight.
Exterior Rectory rooftop, same. Trillium leads Waters out onto the cold night air. Waters looks nervously around for the backup, but none has arrived. Something's definitely gone wrong.
What are you looking for?
Waters needs to come up with something quick.
I was just thinking, there's no place for us to get comfortable.
Trillium steps closer, takes Waters around the waist.
I'm nice and soft. Lay down on me.
He moves in to kiss Waters. Unable to avoid it anymore, Waters lets it happen, but one eye is open on the door. Interior Rectory stairwell, same. Cooper can't wait any longer. He starts kicking at the downstairs door, panicked and feeling responsible for everything going sideways. The SWAT team arrives behind him.
Breach! Breach!
A SWAT team member hoists a heavy battering ram and gives it a mighty swing. Crack! Another swing. Crack! Nothing.
Blow it!
Cooper and the team take cover behind a ballistic shield as the SWAT team member laces det cord around the hinges.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The explosive detonates, blows the door off its hinges in a burst of fire and smoke. It cartwheels backwards up the stairwell. Exterior Rectory, rooftop, same, which alerts Trillium on the roof. He's been discovered. A large knife whips out from his jacket and he grabs Waters around the neck. He turns to the rooftop door just as Cooper and the rest of the team explode from it, swarming onto the roof. Laser sights crisscross Trillium's and Waters' body. He holds the knife up to Waters' throat.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
There's something about the tone of Cooper's voice, something about he holds himself. It's the ultimate poker tell. Trillium looks in disbelief at Cooper and his new appearance.
Langford? Is that you?
Cooper is taken aback that this monster can see through his new face so easily, almost blows his concentration.
Put the knife down, Trillium.
You're just in time, Cooper. You've never seen me do the Lord's work in person.
Don't do it. It doesn't have to end this way.
But this is exactly how I want it to end.
Trillium grins at the standoff, thinking he holds all the cards. He tightens the knife against Waters' throat, about to make the fatal cut. But there's one thing we all know that he doesn't. This isn't a helpless young victim he's holding hostage. It's an ex-Navy SEAL. In one graceful move, Waters yanks down on Trillium's arms, pulling the knife safely away from his throat. Then Trillium's arm is twisted up, disarming him. Last, he is flipped over Waters' back onto the rooftop. Smack! Trillium lies stunned on the ground, looking up at Waters, standing over him, wondering what the hell just happened.
You're a lousy kisser, bitch.
As Trillium closes his eyes in stunned defeat, Dissolve 2, exterior rectory, rooftop, later. The team gathers up evidence, taking photos of the scene. Trillium is in handcuffs, resting on his knees. Cooper walks over and kneels down to talk to him.
The Lord works in mysterious ways, doesn't he, Cooper?
I know you believe that.
You can't possibly think what's happened is coincidence. You being in that body, me being in this one. It's the Lord God making himself known, revealing his majesty. How can you still deny?
You know me. I like to keep my options open.
Your options will be your damnation.
2 SWAT team officers arrive next to them.
And I guess you'll have the last laugh, won't you?
You know I will.
They pull Trillium to his feet. About to transport him, he gives Cooper a confident, defiant smile as he's led away. Cooper walks over to Wentworth and Waters, who sits on an HVAC unit, dabbing in a thin line of blood at his neck, where the knife had been resting.
You okay?
Next time, you wear the dress.
I don't think it would look as good on me.
Angled, Trillium, almost to the exit from the roof, arm in arm with the 2 SWAT officers. Trillium sees something ahead. A silent decision is made. Quietly, under his breath, he starts to mutter something to himself.
But now that you've been set free from sin and you've become slaves of God, the fruit you get leads to sanctification.
Cooper turns as he hears Trillium start his litany. What on earth is he up to?
For the wages of sin is death.
His speech gets louder and louder.
But the gift of God.
Cooper watches Trillium moving towards the door, but wait, he's not looking at the door. He's looking at the ledge.
Is eternal life.
Trillium tears free from the grip of the 2 surprised SWAT officers and sprints towards the edge of the building. Cooper and the rest of the team jump to tackle him, but they're all too late. Angle, Trillium, launches himself over the edge of the roof. In slow motion, he flips onto his back as if to get one last defiant look at Cooper. And then gravity does the rest. Exterior street continuous. From below, we watch his body plummet 4 floors. It slams to the ground with a sickening crunch and a mist of red. Exterior rectory rooftop continuous. Cooper, Wentworth, and the team gather at the precipice and look down. Their POV, Trillium, lying dead on the sidewalk, blank eyes staring up at nothing. Blood pours from his eyes, nose, and mouth in a ribbon of scarlet. This is Trillium's last victim. Its previous owner will never be able to return to this destroyed body again. Dissolve 2, exterior prison, night. A side gate opens, and a guard lets Atherton out to freedom. True to Cooper's word, Atherton has been released the moment he could be. But to what? Trapped in a body that isn't his for what could be the rest of his life.
There's a bus station about a 3-mile walk from here.
The guard gives him an empathetic nod goodbye, but can't do much else. He closes the gate and locks it with a clang. Atherton pops the collar on his prison-issue civilian shirt against the cold night air and starts down the interstate, alone into the night. Dissolve 2, interior hospital corridor, night. A calm has fallen over the building. Darkened halls that have seen their share of chaos over the last few days are now eerily quiet. Night shift nurses bask in the respite, finally getting work done. At a nurse's station, Cooper and Bertie are pointed towards a room at the end of the hall. Before going in, Cooper gestures Bertie into a chair just outside the door. Interior, Janie's hospital room, continuous. Cooper walks in to find Janie on the bed, still motionless, a respirator taped to her mouth, breathing in and out for her. He knows she can't hear him, but he leans down to whisper in her ear, a confession he could never say if she was awake.
The other day, when you asked me what kind of man I was, I realized something. I realized that if I died, something bad happened to me, you wouldn't cry. You wouldn't even miss me. You'd be relieved. I deserve better than that.
Cooper watches for a long, still moment as her chest rises and falls. When a nurse, Nurse Kelly, enters, we recognize her as the overwhelmed nurse at the front desk from earlier. Expecting the room to be empty, she's startled.
Oh, sorry if I surprised you. I wasn't expecting a visitor.
What's wrong with her?
The nurse shakes her head and shrugs.
We're not sure. Her body is perfectly healthy. Best we can guess, when everyone switched, she swapped places with somebody in a coma or catatonic.
Cooper considers this. His life with Janie had been a miserable one, but he would never wish this sort of torture on her.
I was down in the ER helping out when you brought her in. That was very kind of you.
Cooper realizes she has no idea his relationship to Janie. Gives a modest nod of thanks.
Please do what you can to keep her comfortable.
Of course.
Cooper starts to leave the room and collects Bertie from her chair, but Nurse Kelly stops him.
Excuse me, did you know her?
Cooper considers his answer for a long moment, then looks down. Cooper's POV, Bertie, his old body sitting there in front of him, his depressing, awful past. Then, Cooper's POV, a mirror. Above a sink in the room, he takes in his new body. If not his permanent future, then certainly his present fortune. A glimmer of decision crosses his new face.
No. No, I didn't.
Nurse Kelly just nods and goes back to her work as Cooper leaves with Bertie following close behind. They both walk down the dark hallway, and he never looks back. Fade to black. End Act 4. Act 5. Interior Novatech Headquarters, hallway, evening. Foley marches through a glass-walled corridor with a purpose, almost machine-like. Her usual cordial smile is nowhere to be found. Interior Novatech Headquarters, boardroom, continuous. The large double doors open for Foley and she enters. Sitting around the conference table are the board members. Because of the height of tall chairs, their faces are blocked. We don't see them. But at the head of the table sits, Angle, an older man. The board's well-dressed and somber inside director, 70s, acknowledges Foley. The expression on his face is one of grave seriousness. The deep lines carved into his face earned from years of corporate empire building.
Has Grace been found?
Not yet, sir. The search is ongoing.
And the query?
The solve is on hold. Unfortunately, Grace encrypted root access to the render farm as a failsafe. Our team is working on getting around it, but it could take weeks.
This news visibly upsets the director.
Unacceptable.
Yes, sir, it is.
I don't have to impress upon you the importance of finding our erstwhile CEO, correct?
No, sir, you do not.
The director stares daggers at Foley, accusing. A ball has been dropped and Foley knows it.
And how is our FBI agent? Has he made himself comfortable?
I believe so, sir.
He'd better. We'll need that body back when the time comes. For now, let's give him a taste of the good life. Understood?
Yes, sir.
You're dismissed.
Foley gives a deferential nod, turns and exits the conference room, leaving the director to quietly fume with the rest of the board. Interior Grace's mansion, bar, night. Close, a hand. Cuts open the seal around the bottle of Pappy Van Winkle and pours a double into a whiskey tumbler. Cooper takes a long, welcomed gulp from the glass, considers the bottle for a moment. Pretty damn tasty. Maybe you do get what you pay for. He walks from the bar over to the nearby, interior Grace's mansion, living room continuous, angle video game. The one Foley had been playing earlier. He looks at the leaderboard. DMG on every one of the top 10. Cooper puts his drink on the glass screen, places the bottle of whiskey on the floor at his feet, hits the player 1 button. The music begins. From behind, we see him start to tap furiously at the fire button, getting into the game. Match dissolve. Same angle, hours later. Cooper still stands at the game. His shirt tails are untucked, sleeves rolled up. The bottle is almost empty. Angle the screen. The alien ships dive bomb after him. He fires furiously away, disintegrating each and every one of them into tiny digital explosions. The score racks higher and higher until there is a trilling victory fanfare. Another high score. A satisfied grin crosses Cooper's face. He lets go of the joystick and lets the mothership take out his last man. A musical interlude tells us that it's game over. Cooper watches the leaderboard screen pop up again. Except this time, all of Grace's initials have been replaced by Cooper's, C-A-L. The top one is blinking for him to enter it once again. He pauses as a strange thought overcomes him. Not sure why, he types DMG into the line, almost as if he's trying it on. He stares at it for a long moment, reconsiders and erases it, replaces it with one last C-A-L. Exhausted and satisfied, he picks up the bottle and heads to interior Grace's mansion, bedroom, continuous. Cooper puts the bottle and glass down on the bedside table. Tired and giving into sleep, he kicks off his shoes and unbuttons his shirt. Socks and pants are peeled off. He lays down onto the enormous bed. angle above Cooper. We've seen this shot before, looking down on him. He takes one last contemplative swig from the whiskey and touches his heart, centering himself. But something catches his attention. Out of the corner of his eye, something odd. Cooper's POV mirror. Opposite him and the bed. It's the mirror in which he first saw his new reflection staring back at him. But this time, it's a different vantage point. He's looking at the soles of his feet. On his left heel, there's a tiny black smudge. Curious, Cooper rises up to the edge of the bed for a closer look, crosses his leg, and pulls the foot up to inspect it. Close foot. It isn't a smudge at all, it's a tattoo. In small black letters, one word, 0PH3LI4. Cooper stares at it for a long moment. Then it dawns on him what he must have stumbled across. Interior Grace's mansion, office, night. The desk terminal retracts again with a whir as it senses Cooper's motion. More than a little drunk, he settles down into the oversized chair behind the desk. Angle, monitor. The prompt beckons him again. He stares at it for a while, deciding if he should go through with it. This time he taps in the password, 0PH3LI4, and waits. There is a zap of digital static as the image on the monitor changes. The login is replaced by a status bar. Underneath it the words, Ophelia Protocol, initializing. Completely engrossed, Cooper sits back and waits. The bar reaches 100% and the screen suddenly turns black. The screen stays that way for a long time. Too long. Cooper is concerned that he's broken the machine. And then, fading on screen, the head and face of Desmond Grace. It's not a video, it's a live rendered 3D model. Cooper watches it move, eyes tracing his movements, tracking him. It almost seems to follow his gaze wherever he goes. Creepy.
Hello. If you're seeing this, it means that you must have found my body. And if that's the case, I've got a lot of explaining to do.
As we pull back, leaving Cooper bathed in the ghostly blue hue of the light from the monitor, we fade out. The end.